The news starts now.
By nightfall, some swollen rivers slipped back below their banks. But inside places like Second Harvest Food Bank, the damage was done.
I think the biggest thing that hurts our hearts most of all is that we can't get this food to the needy tomorrow, and it looks like we won't be able to get that food to the needy until next Monday.
In Newmarket, torrential rains flooded neighborhoods and triggered rescues of both people and their pets.
This car's loading right now.
Across Knoxville, our cameras captured car after car stalled in high water. Rain fell in some places at more than an inch an hour, catching driver after driver by surprise.
It's really bad and dangerous out here.
Pictures from 10 News viewers poured into our newsroom, capturing a similar scene north, south, east, and west of Knoxville.
Free at last!
Teachers celebrate along with students after floodwaters surrounded them inside Holston Middle School, keeping them trapped for more than 2 hours.
But it will take days, if not weeks, to clean up much of the damage from downpours East Tennessee hasn't seen in a decade.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Robin Wilhoit.
And I'm John Becker. Tonight, East Tennessee is trying to dry out. One of the main roads heavily impacted by today's flooding was Broadway in North Knoxville.
Today's rain flooded the road in several locations. 10 News reporter Allison Bybee was live waiting in what looked like a river all day long. She's back out tonight. Allison, is the water finally going down where you are?
Oh my goodness, Robin and John, right now all I can say is wow. I mean, are you kidding me? This is all right below me that really remains out here on Broadway. We've just kind of got a muddy mess. So we were out here for hours. Broadway here completely shut down as First Creek overflowed, making this basically a river. And now it kind of seems like nothing even happened.
Broadway looked more like a river.
With so many stranded vehicles, it's really bad and dangerous out here.
In North Knoxville, near Shoney's, cars were stranded left and right as people tried to beat the rising floodwaters. Fountain City saw much of the same. Wilnisha Smith and her mother, they thought they could make it across.
We chanced it. We was trying to go to McDonald's.
Not a good idea.
But they soon learned there was no beating this storm.
We're stuck here, but we're just fine.
Car after car was left abandoned on Broadway. Down at the Broadway Shopping Center, the water was so high, the road was shut down.
This is crazy.
Preston Finoglio braved the rain with his truck. First Creek overflowed its banks, spilling out, making the 4-lane road impassable.
This is amazing. I've never seen it like this.
This is the water. This is actually a middle of the road here at the Broadway Shopping Center, and this is what it was like just after 5 o'clock. Take a look. A man trying to kayak.
Some people tried to go up Broadway with a paddle.
That's insane.
He's got the right idea, but the wrong street.
Richard Merritt said he had to take advantage of this makeshift river with his kayak.
They say a foot of water move a car. Well, foot of water moved that kayak.
Finally, the sun came out and the water slowly receded. But this day didn't end without plenty of pictures to document the rare occasion.
Never seen it like this.
It was like probably along in this area.
It's a message crafted nearly 70 years ago, 1943, a different time.
It had one little torn spot on it.
With words penned from someone named Maxie to a friend, Louis.
Hit your wagon to a star, you know, and some remembrances during the school days and this sort of thing.
Those words of encouragement still ring from the paper that dropped from the sky into James Hagan's front yard in McMinn County.
We've accumulated sentimental things over the years, and I know that if we were in a tornado like that and lost a bunch of our personal things, we would like them back.
The only clue as to who was holding on to that keepsake, a vague old address, Route 2, Fort Payne, Alabama. And as we set out along that old rural stretch,
at first it was flipped over, so we didn't even know what it was.
Countless other East Tennesseans have received similar deliveries.
The picture of the children was actually found right back in this area here.
Anthony Cacavelli's family found a pair of photographs at their home south of Maryville.
It doesn't even look like it was damaged. It don't even look like it was wet. So that was kind of kind of odd. It looked like one you would just go get out of the drawer in the house.
A little digging, and the help of a Facebook site clued them in. A Ringgold, Georgia twister took both these children, Cody and Chelsea Black, along with their parents.
Yeah, finding out they were deceased was, yeah, it was hard. That was hard.
Hubert Wooten from Rainsville, Alabama, is gone as well.
It was heartbreaking.
After finding both moments in time 150 miles from home, the Cacavellis plan to return both to surviving family members.
Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Wish that we could have met them under better circumstances.
In Alabama, Old Route 2 is roughly the same path at least 3 different deadly twisters took in late April.
There's nothing left at Dad's. The land is completely leveled.
Best guess is the old letter came from somebody along this stretch, the community of Sylvania, just outside Fort Payne.
Out of all of the devastation, it turns out the old letter from Maxie to Louise, that's not the only thing that made its way from Old Route 2 in Fort Payne, Alabama, to East Tennessee.
Nice to meet you too. Love your necklace. It's of hope.
Tiffany Davis's father lived on that same stretch of Route 2, a spot that saw 190 mile-per-hour winds.
You're still in it. Please, Sam. It's Jacob.
This marks 3 photographs from Dad's destroyed mobile home that Davis has recovered.
To know that that was torn from someone's home, that was very important to somebody. So I felt like they needed that back.
It won't build back the now smashed shelter or rehab that crushed car.
And I've seen that picture on your mantle for years, you know.
But in many of these cases, the small 4x6 image means much more.
And just for them to get back 3 pictures of that, it's something that they're never going to get back again, you know. And if those people wouldn't have done that, they wouldn't have had that. So it means the world to me.
Unfortunately, a similar reunion won't be as easy for Maxie's letter to Louise in a neighborhood that's still in shock. Those storms took at least 33 people from DeKalb County, Alabama, and amid the rebuilding community, we couldn't find anybody who recalls either woman on the page. But James Hagan says he'll keep looking.
We would like to see it get back to its original owner, you know, and I'm kind of glad we didn't throw it away, you know.
Until the final line gets delivered to those who need it most. May there be enough clouds in your life to make a golden sunset. Remember me always as one of your many friends. Love, Maxie. In Fort Payne, Alabama, Anthony Welch, 10 News.
This is 10 News at 6.
You have the whole personal aspect going on in the midst of taking on all this new responsibility and hiring a team and dealing with a hard budget, and your life changed.
He is a native son of Knoxville, the city's former mayor, and now the first ever Knoxvillian by birth to be elected to the state as its governor. And Bill Haslam is now hours away from becoming the state's 49th governor. Good evening from Nashville. I'm John Becker.
And I'm Robin Wilhoy. Thanks so much for joining us. This is not only a moment in history for the Haslam family, but also the city of Knoxville and the state of Tennessee. We had the opportunity earlier today to sit down with Governor-elect Haslam to talk about a number of things, but a headline that came out of our discussion focuses on a key position in his administration, that of Commissioner of Education.
He confirmed for us that Dr. Jim McIntyre, the superintendent of schools in Knox County, is indeed on the short list. He hasn't been selected, but just on the short list. That's how the governor-elect put it.
Well, we want to step back and take a look back at the week that Governor-elect Haslam has had. It's been a very, very busy one. It began with what they call regional celebrations that went from one end of the state to the other. They were events where people could come and meet firsthand with the governor-elect and his wife, Chrissy. On Monday, they met with around 200 supporters in Upper East Tennessee and Kingsport. But Tuesday, unfortunately, the tour could not escape the snow. Treacherous travel conditions drove the governor-elect to cancel that pre-inaugural celebration in Chattanooga.
And then on Wednesday, they moved west to Jackson and also to Memphis, and then rounded out that tour on Thursday in Knoxville with about 1,000 supporters at the Foundry. Back here live in Nashville, we did have a chance to sit down, as Robin mentioned, one-on-one with the governor-elect a little bit earlier today. We talked about what themes he will transpose and really try to emit to people during that speech tomorrow. what he wants people to take away from his inaugural speech. He talked about 3 things specifically. Here's what he had to say.
These are challenging times, and we have real budget issues, and we're going to have to make hard choices. I think that's the first thing. The second is this, is the key to who we are as a state in the future is education. And quite frankly, in a few things in Tennessee, we've shot too low over time. The health of our citizens, education, and there's some other things like that. But I'm going to talk a lot about why education is so critical, and it's not just a buzzword for that. And the third thing is this, is we're going to be all about making Tennessee the best location in the Southeast for creating jobs. But we have to realize we're doing that.
Now let's rewind and take a look back in history, if you will, to see where we came from and where we are now. You will remember back in August, the GOP primary, Governor-elect Haslam beat his closest Republican rival by 100,000 votes. Little more than 2 months ago, how can you forget it? Governor-elect Haslam won that November 2nd election in a landslide over his Democratic challenger, Mike McWhorter.
Harrow has a clear win over Mark Padgett. With all precincts reporting, she has 59% of the vote. She defeated Padgett by more than 3,600 votes. We're going to get right to Robin down at the Foundry in downtown Knoxville, where she is with the mayoral-elect.
Well, John, more than 50 debates and thousands of handshakes later, Madeline Rohero is claiming victory, and she is making history tonight, becoming the first female mayor-elect of Knoxville. Her job officially begins on December 17th, but she is joining us right now celebrating this victory. Madeline, congratulations. When you hear first female of the city of Knoxville, what do you feel? What do you think?
Well, I'm certainly very privileged to be in that position, and I really hope that encourages women and little girls to aspire to run for office.
Straight from the heart of East Tennessee, this is 10 News at 6.
God's still God, you know. Nobody got hurt. That's what we're thankful for.
The people of Greenback are counting their blessings as they begin to sort through the piles of rubble left behind by a tornado with winds of more than 130 miles an hour. Good evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Robin Wilhoit. John Becker has the day off. Families in the Greenback community are cleaning up after a tornado swept through their community late last night, leaving behind a path of destruction. Here's an aerial look at that damage stretching along Highway 411. The tornado leveled homes and damaged businesses, including a car lot and a boat facility. Fire officials in Greenback and Blount County told 10 News the path of damage is about a half-mile wide and 3 to 4 miles long. Now, officials have worked throughout the day to assess the damage as residents sift through the rubble and try to pick up the pieces. 10 News anchor Russell Biven and Chief Meteorologist Todd Howell join us now live from Highway 411 in Greenback, where they have been all day long with more on the storm's aftermath. Guys.
All right, Robin, and you said it best. They are thankful, and they are, despite all the damage, despite everything they've been through. Everybody we talked to down here, Todd, says they are thankful because nobody was killed, nobody was seriously hurt, and they're thankful for their community because we're going to be showing video here in a moment. They really do come and help each other around here like we're all supposed to do.
It's the East Tennessee volunteer spirit at work.
Yeah.
The folks, you know, they worked all night, not complaining. The grandchildren here at the home, we'll talk about more in a moment, you know, cleaning up and trying to keep a good attitude, a good spirit about them. Very thankful that no fatalities or serious injuries out of this, Russ.
Yeah, just incredible, and we'll talk more about some of those incredible stories in a moment, but we talk about the fact that very few injuries and minor at that, and this is a farm area. Many people farm down here, so animals were involved as well, and we have some incredible stories of survival there also. Emily Stroud joins us from a nearby farm with more on that. Hey, Emily.
Hey, Russell, the man who owns this farm here on Tarwater Road lost 3 barns, a building, and a 70-foot silo, but his hunting dog survived. Now, down this road and around the corner, another farmer lost a lot of property, but he's counting his blessings.
It's been here, I know, for 80 years, maybe 100.
It's known as the old dairy barn on Highway 95 in Greenback, a landmark. Bobby Anderson used it to store hay and corral beef cattle, but not anymore.
We don't have enough insurance to build it back like it was, so we'll just do the best we can The Lord took care of us.
His cows and calves are okay, and so is a relative's donkey.
You can see the barn there. I thought she was just toast. Thought she was done.
Rocky Anderson was amazed by the destruction of his father's property and by what survived.
My daughter-in-law had put her donkey in that barn right there. Well, he's dead, but I went to the barn and stirring around, and I heard her go, ho, ho. So, and I rescued her in there.
The donkey's okay, and Bobby Anderson says he has enough hay in other barns to continue to feed his livestock. Plus, they have plenty of grass.
When you're a farmer, you just do day by day and do the best you can with what you've got to do with.
Neighbors and family members came by to help clean up the mess and to wish Anderson well.
We have good neighbors in Greenback, and we help each other, and it's a good community.
And the employee was part of a group who was working on this barge. They were in the process of taking the concrete off of the arch supports directly above them. Now, police and state investigators are looking for answers. TDOT says it's not clear exactly what happened, if a part of the bridge fell on the worker, if the worker fell, or something else. There were 4 others on the barge. They've been taken to the public safety building to be interviewed. Knoxville police and the fire department searched the barge as well as the water for evidence. TDOT has not released the name of the victim, but they did offer this brief comment.
Obviously, the safety of workers and the driving public, these are the people that we care the most about. TDOT's safety is the top priority. This accident that happened today, we don't have much further comments except to say that the investigation is still ongoing, and obviously our thoughts and our prayers are with the family of the deceased.
And from this point, TOSHA will be taking over the investigation to try and get to the bottom of exactly what happened. Robin and John.
Right away, when Knoxville firefighters showed up, they knew it was time to call for more backup.
We received a call for flames through the roof of the apartment complex behind me. When crews initially arrived on scene, they did discover heavy fire load. They immediately called for a second alarm assignment, which calls in more personnel, more manpower, more trucks.
Still this morning, as we approach 7 o'clock, 11 fire trucks on scene and about 40 KFD firefighters. These apartments, again, the East Town Village community, just next door to Knoxville Center Mall. The building that mainly saw most of the flames, 30 units inside, 29 of those units were occupied. It was built in the early 1990s. KFD says there was not a sprinkler system inside. Right now, they're using all water available to them. The public KUB pumps that are down in the Knoxville Center parking lot, they're running hoses up the ridge. Those go about 1,500 gallons per minute. There are also some private fire hydrants up at the top of the ridge closer to the scene as firefighters continue to work the fire, hoping to knock that blaze down.
The news starts now.
Drains you emotionally, physically.
2 families face the possibility of 4 new trials. Good evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Robin Wilhoit. John Becker has the night off. We are learning much more tonight about what led a judge to grant new trials for the 4 people who were convicted in connection with the deaths of Chris Newsom and Shannon Christian. The Knox County couple was carjacked, kidnapped, raped, and murdered back in January 2007. Latavis Cobbins, Lamarcus Davidson, George Thomas, and Vanessa Coleman were previously convicted in the case. But all of that is thrown out now, and the suspects will start fresh. Judge Blackwood granted the new trials because of the conduct of former Judge Richard Baumgartner, who presided over each of the original trials. He was disbarred back in October after pleading guilty earlier in the year to 1 count of official misconduct for prescription drug abuse. Today, Judge John Kerry Blackwood revealed details of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation file looking into Baumgartner's actions and said it contained enough evidence to suggest that Baumgartner was impaired during the trials. 10 News reporter Jim Matheny joins us now. And Jim, the details of just how far Baumgartner went to feed his drug addiction. It really shocked a lot of people in court today.
Yeah, it really did. The file showed Baumgartner's addiction. It spanned several years. He abused his position as a judge to get those pain pills, and he even helped get drugs for other addicts. And the timeline shows he did this before, during, and after the murder trials that consumed this community.
Judge Blackwood presented a timeline that showed Baumgartner began doctor shopping for pain pills in 2008, using 5 different doctors for those prescriptions. Baumgartner admitted to one doctor that he was addicted to pain pills, and that doctor told him he should step down from the bench. But Baumgartner refused and kept feeding his addiction, not only through legitimate doctors, but Baumgartner bought thousands of pills illegally through street drug dealers and set up a lot of those deals at work.
Every time he used that phone in his office to make a drug deal was a crime, and it extended for a long period of time.
The TBI file says one of Baumgartner's main sources on the street was Dina Castleman, a woman who graduated from his drug court in 2006 and came to him for help to get a job in 2008. Instead, Baumgartner used her for drugs.
And didn't she have at least the right to keep that judge from turning her right back into being a drug addict so he could get his pills?
Blackwood says Baumgartner routinely went to Castleman during lunch breaks to buy and use drugs, and their relationship also became sexual, sometimes in his court office.
On 3 occasions, Ms. Castleman testified they had sexual relations right back to that.
When Castleman was arrested, Baumgartner paid her bond and hired her an attorney. And the TBI file shows Baumgartner also approached other judges and prosecutors to try to help Castleman stay out of jail. The file also says Baumgartner helped Castleman fake a drug test so she could live at the YWCA. But when that test still came back positive, he then personally called the YWCA and lied, saying Castleman's test showed she was clean.
And I don't know whether you call that judicial corruption, stupidity, or arrogance. I don't know. But I call it committing a crime. He knows it. He knows it.
And believe it or not, that is all just scratching the surface. There's a lot more to this case, a lot more evidence of Baumgartner's behavior. And there are also some cases where people noticed that his behavior was odd and tried to do something, make sure he was okay, and in some cases said, hey, you either need to step down off the bench, get recovered, whatever the case may be. But you can read a lot more about that and also see that full slideshow that we showed you in the courtroom. That is the judge's presentation on that evidence. For yourself, you can read it at WBIR.com. But, Robin, for now, we'll send it back to you.
All of it just so disturbing. All right, Jim, thank you. Baumgartner's history of painkiller addiction ultimately led to the 4 defendants getting new trials and could pave the way for more legal moves in other cases. 10 News reporter Brittany Bailey was in the courtroom today for the decision and is live from downtown Knoxville with reaction for us.
Well, Robin, it was a shocking and emotional day in the courtroom for nearly everyone, from the judge to the victims' families. In that courtroom, as you heard, we learned the sordid details of former Judge Baumgartner's addiction to prescription painkillers and the impact it likely had on his time on the bench. And because of all that, in the end, Judge John Kerry Blackwood ruled that all 4 defendants should get new trials. And that means the victims' families will have to go through all of them one by one again.
We just still need a lot of support and a lot of prayers. Everybody continue to do what you're doing.
Once you read all that stuff, how are you not going to do it? You know?
He's very passionate about his job, and I mean, you could see it hurt him to do it. But I mean, after you saw what you saw in court today, if you were in there.
If he's so proud of his justice system, I want to see justice.
Well, as you heard, the families are now looking to Judge Blackwood, who was visibly upset in the courtroom today, at times angry and frustrated, at other times sad and resigned. The judge said he wanted desperately to save the original verdicts, but based upon the evidence in that TBI file and what he saw as structural errors with the trials, he was forced to grant new trials. But before the hearing was over, he heard again from one of the defendants, Latavis Cobbins, who again complained to the judge that he's been mistreated.
Each and every time I come out of the court, I am subject to dehumanizing me. I'm subject.
Oh, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to listen to that. You need to sit down. We're going to go back to prison.
Today on Live at 5 at 4, we're celebrating twin sisters who are like family to us. Helen and Ellen of the Love Kitchen.
We got 2 twins, so it's too much for one person to do.
For weeks, area businesses and volunteers have worked on the home of Helen Ash. And tonight, Helen and Ellen will see the results of this labor of love. And you will see it with them on this special Live at 5 at 4, and it all starts right now.
All right, folks, here we go.
Come here, sweetheart. Come here, Miss Helen.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord, look. Oh, Lord. Lord,
Sit
thank
there.
you, Lord. Lord, am I dreaming?
Helen, on behalf of the Home Builders Association of Knoxville and WBIR, I want to welcome you home.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
Okay. Now, if you remember, we've only known each other about a month. And when I first talked to you, I had to make a couple of promises to you. And one of them was that the house would look like it used to, only new and better.
No, it doesn't look like it used to, honey.
Does it look better?
Oh, Lord, yes.
Well, you haven't even seen it. Let's go take the tour.
As the Space Shuttle program prepares to launch into history,
the Live at 5 at 4 crew is off on the adventure of a lifetime, playing astronaut at Space Camp.
go along as we train for our own shuttle mission. Throw up! Throw up!
And get a little topsy-turvy in our quest to see what it feels like to be launched into space.
Hey, if the kids can do it, so can we, right?
Any of the three of us want to be on
No, we don't.
But it's too late to get off. Maybe. Guess we'll see as Live at 5 at 4 blasts off to Space Camp. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Live at 5 at 4. I'm Beth Haynes.
And I'm Russell Biven. We are at Space Camp in Huntsville, Alabama, to celebrate the final launch of the Space Shuttle program, which is Space Shuttle Atlantis.
The winds of change are blowing for the Tennessee Valley Authority. With greater consumer demand for electricity and a push to reduce emissions, TVA is looking to resources that are readily available in other parts of the country to power the valley. Now the country's largest power provider is harnessing the wind as a way to live green at heart. A light switches on in an East Tennessee home, powered in part by the wind, blowing some 500 miles away in central Illinois. This region of the Midwest is flat farming country, rich in a natural resource. Wind. Sprouting out of the ground are turbines. It is as tall as a football field and its blades as long as the wingspan of a 747 jumbo jet. And that is just one wind turbine. Times that by 150 and you have the Streeter Cougar Ridge Wind Farm here in Odell, Illinois.
Man, it's a big deal to a lot of soldiers. You know, thinking back, and wearing the flag on a uniform and what those stars and stripes, represent. It's an honor to be able to do it.
Trucked to Florida, then on to Gitmo by barge. The explosives waited in a magazine until the Navy's weapons department delivered them to Poteet and crew. After several days of setup, it's the final hours before the scheduled show. The three East Tennessee pyrotechnicians find themselves headed out to an old, basically abandoned fueling station, located just a few football fields off the shore at Guantanamo Bay.
Many of us are thinking about what we're thankful for.
I'm thankful I'm able to spend yet another holiday with my father, Bob Sells. He is facing the fight of his life, and it's only inspired him to live life to the fullest and to fulfill a dream. This is a story of my father's journey of faith and thanksgiving. A soldier, husband, father, grandfather. My dad, Bob Sells, is all that and more. He's one of the strongest people I will ever know, even though a devastating disease is robbing him of his strength.
Back in November of 2009, I found out that I had cancer of the liver.
Dad survived a risky surgery back in 2010. Doctors removed 60% of his liver with the hope of giving him, us, more time.
So I was taken care of by the doctor for over a year, and then went back and they did a CAT scan and said that the tumors had returned.
There is no cure for my father, but there has always been a desire to fulfill a lifelong wish.
From the age of 17 when I was baptized, I always wanted to go to Israel.
Dad, a faithful Presbyterian, decided now was the time. Growing weaker, my family and I worried whether he could physically endure the grueling 12-hour trip to the Holy Land. But in his mind, it was never a question.
It's the longest flight I have ever been on.
That's long for all of us.
Yeah, it sure was.
Bible stories my father had heard over and over since childhood came to life. He rested where Jesus preached the Sermon on the Mount.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
Just a different feeling.
He glided on the tranquil Sea of Galilee, where Jesus performed miracles. And he marveled, gazing upon the Jordan River.
That's where my Christ was baptized. And it was very awesome to see that river, and I've heard so much about it.
But my father's greatest desire was to walk where Jesus walked in the holy city of Jerusalem. Confined to a wheelchair much of the time, two young men, Gabriel and Simon, pushed him along the cobblestone streets to one of the holiest shrines in this biblical city, the Wailing Wall. This towering barrier of stone served as the western wall of the Second Temple during Christ's time. To this day, pilgrims pray and slip written petitions into the crevices.
That day it was raining, and so he pushed me up to the wall in my wheelchair, and I put a prayer in one of the cracks, and then I put my hand on the wall and prayed.
My father prayed for peace in the world. My mother, sisters, and I prayed he would be healed. The Via Dolorosa, the way of suffering.
This is the road, taking you from where he was tried all the way to the crucifixion site.
The Bible says Jesus struggled down the Via Dolorosa. Here, Dad mustered the strength to walk and to touch the spot where tradition has it Christ leaned against the wall, beaten and burdened by the weight of the cross. At the end of the way, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre marks the spot where Jesus was crucified and buried in a nearby tomb. In the center of the church rests a smooth slab, the stone of the anointing. That's where it said Christ's body was prepared for his burial. It now serves as an altar for pilgrims, like my father. With that, his journey of faith was fulfilled. Surrounded by family, new friends he met and grew to quickly love on his pilgrimage. My father was ready to return home, stronger.
And I'm so pleased that I know I got some new friends. It was the greatest trip of my life.
My father has taught me countless lessons in life through his words and actions. Whether on the trip of a lifetime or simply spending the day sitting in his favorite recliner, each day is a gift.
If you got a disease, you got a disease, and maybe they can cure it, maybe they can't. And maybe it's my time to go, or maybe not. I am very at peace. I'm thankful for the life I've led so far, 71 years.
It's midnight in Knoxville.
Welcome to the program. I'm Tommy.
Tommy Mitchell, a former nightclub DJ, now hosts the Twilight Gospel Hour on WKXV.
Mr. Pittman?
Yeah.
All right. How you doing? Have you had a good day today?
Well, okay.
Well, good.
He called me for prayer. He wanted to make sure he was on the prayer list because I conduct a prayer and devotion time from between 2 and 3 a.m.
The caller on the other end of the line is Buddy Pittman, a former Marine and veteran of the Air Force.
Was the Air Force a pretty good experience for you?
Yeah.
And each night he'd call me back, so I'd spend a little more time, so we kind of formed a relationship.
Over the last 18 months, Mitchell learned his loyal caller saw post-war Germany, the war in Korea, and Vietnam, a military career spanning more than 3 decades.
And you worked on the gunships, too. He's got some amazing stories. He's a dedicated veteran, loves his country, and would do it again if he was called to do it.
And those late-night, off-air chats stirred a calling in Tommy Mitchell.
You're dedicated to defend that flag?
Mitchell knows what it's like to swear that oath. He took the pledge as a paratrooper in the Army.
Like I told Mr. Pittman, if I could do it again, I would. How you doing, partner?
All right.
You doing good today?
Yeah.
Yeah?
These two veterans have become fast friends, swapping stories about the Army, the Air Force, and memories of Pittman's Marine Corps training.
Were they all good or all bad?
Some of them are good, some bad.
And their regular talks revealed yet another connection. It turns out the same model planes Pittman worked on as a mechanic, Mitchell jumped out of as a paratrooper.
Oh, on the props?
Yeah.
Did you ever work on the C-130?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to. I jumped out of those too.
At age 80, Buddy Pittman has suffered 4 strokes. He lost his sight 6 months ago and has spent the last 4 months confined to his bed. Diabetes has stolen his mobility, but not his fighting spirit.
You enjoyed being a Marine?
I sure did.
Yeah. When he's a little down, he'll call me and he'll tell me, can we have prayer? And so we'll have prayer, and that perks him up.
And perhaps this unlikely friendship serves as testimony to what happens in life when we take time to listen.
If I can help people by spending 5 or 10 minutes on the phone while I'm playing music, then that's a blessing, not only to them, but to me. 72 degrees here at our WKXV studios. We go back to more of your favorite gospel music. Have a blessed night.
At the breaking of day.
Here goes Todd Howell. Todd Howell going down our parking lot. Beautiful.
Forecast in a moment.
He said forecast in a moment. Now, what you didn't see, folks, just to the left, you saw just a hair of a porta potty because they're doing some renovations. I hope he didn't. There on the left. I hope he didn't go straight into that thing. There he is. Oh, there he goes. Oh, man. We hope you're having as much fun as we are. Speaking of kids having fun. By the way, we need to warm things up around here, Foxy. It's a little bit chilly in here today, so we just, get that thing going, too. Why not the fireplace?
This is Melrose Hall, built in 1946 as a dormitory. It's now a former dormitory, and while it looks the same, it sounds a whole lot different. Yep, while the school's new multi-million-dollar music center is under construction, Melrose is now the designated music building. And students on their way to class can hear a concert or two along the way. This is a whole wing full of small practice rooms, and each window emits its own sound.
I love it. It's awesome.
Cheap entertainment walking by here.
Cheap entertainment. Well, they pay to go here. It's pretty expensive.
Well, that's true. Never mind. Speaking of the music majors who practice here in these non-soundproof rooms, you ever find yourself playing a duet with a guy in the next room?
Yeah, or the floor below you or above you.
But it has its good points.
You could hear, Mozart in one room, and you could hear Charlie Parker in another room.
The new building should be done in a couple of years.
Probably after I graduate, it's whenever the building will
So
be.
this is your whole college future here.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's great entertainment, especially in the fall. Kinchwall 10 News.
The news starts now.
By nightfall, some swollen rivers slipped back below their banks. But inside places like Second Harvest Food Bank, the damage was done.
I think the biggest thing that hurts our hearts most of all is that we can't get this food to the needy tomorrow, and it looks like we won't be able to get that food to the needy until next Monday.
In Newmarket, torrential rains flooded neighborhoods and triggered rescues of both people and their pets.
The cars are loading right now.
Across Knoxville, our cameras captured car after car stalled in high water. Rain fell in some places at more than an inch an hour, catching driver after driver by surprise.
It's really bad and dangerous out here.
Pictures from 10 News viewers poured into our newsroom, capturing a similar scene north, south, east, and west of Knoxville.
Free at last!
Teachers celebrate along with students after floodwaters surrounded them inside Holston Middle School, keeping them trapped for more than 2 hours.
But it will take days, if not weeks, to clean up much of the damage from downpours East Tennessee hasn't seen in a decade.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Robin Wilfoy.
And I'm John Becker. Tonight, East Tennessee is trying to dry out. One of the main roads heavily impacted by today's flooding was Broadway in North Knoxville.
Today's rain flooded the road in several locations. 10 News reporter Allison Bybee was live waiting in what looked like a river all day long. She's back out tonight. Allison, is the water finally going down where you are?
Oh my goodness, Robin and John, right now all I can say is wow. I mean, are you kidding me? This is all right below me that really remains out here on Broadway. We've just kind of got a muddy mess. But we were out here for hours. Broadway here completely shut down as First Creek overflowed, making this basically a river. And now it kind of seems like nothing even happened. Broadway looked more like a river.
With so many stranded vehicles, it's really bad and dangerous out here.
In North Knoxville, near Shoney's, cars were stranded left and right as people tried to beat the rising floodwaters. Fountain City saw much of the same. Wilnisha Smith and her mother, they thought they could make it across.
We chanced it. We was trying to go to McDonald's. Not a good idea.
But they soon learned there was no beating this storm.
We're stuck here, but we're just fine.
Car after car was left abandoned on Broadway. Down at the Broadway Shopping Center, the water was so high, the road was shut down.
This is crazy.
Preston Finoglio braved the rain with his truck. First Creek overflowed its banks, spilling out, making the 4-lane road impassable.
This is amazing. I've never seen it like this.
This is the water. This is actually a middle of the road here at the Broadway Shopping Center, and this is what it was like just after 5 o'clock. Take a look. A man trying to kayak. Some people tried to go up Broadway with a paddle.
That's insane.
He's got the right idea, but the wrong street.
Richard Merritt said he had to take advantage of this makeshift river with his kayak.
They say a foot of water move a car. Well, foot of water moved that kayak.
Finally, the sun came out and the water slowly receded. But this day didn't end without plenty of pictures to document the rare occasion.
Never seen it like this.
And we're back out here live. This is First Creek. It is still raging on as the water's receding from other places. But Broadway here in this section of North Knoxville, it is back open. And again, you know, police just still warn people in the future. Things just to think about is try not to drive through water when it's that high so you can stay safe. Robin and John.
But I never thought I'd see the day I'd see a kayak going down Broadway, but I saw it. All right. Thanks so much, Allison.
Well, that rain finally began moving out of East Tennessee early this evening, but Granger and Hawkins counties are on a 2-hour delay tomorrow.
And Holston Middle and Knox County will be closed because of the flooding. Much more on that coming up. All other Knox County schools will be open tomorrow. And for more on the rain totals, we want to turn now to Chief Meteorologist Todd Howe in the Weather Center. Todd.
All right, Robin, John, thank you so much. Hope you're having a good and safe and dry Monday night, folks. Let's bring you up to date. Live Skywatch 10 radar. Good news. Well, the rain is out of here. Matter of fact, it's drier, but also it's much colder. We'll be talking much more about that coming up. Yeah, rainfall totals. A swath of about 3 to 3.5 inches of rain went across parts of Knox County and Jefferson County. You saw the video from Newmarket? Check. Saw the video from Broadway, Fountain City, and Knoxville? Check. And more heavy rainfall. Matter of fact, another band of quite heavy rain, upwards of 4 inches of rain across portions of Morgan into Scott counties, and a little bit more of a batch down here across parts of the Smokies, up to 2 inches. But you can see some some of these bands, including right across the valley in Knoxville. Now, here's a look at some of the latest satellite pictures. We're going to see decreasing clouds overnight. I mentioned it's breezy. It's a whole lot colder. We had a band of light rain showers that was moving through earlier. The most significant weather is well to our south and east in Georgia and the Carolinas. Let's take a look back at some more pictures that we have to us for you coming into us earlier today. Flooding at Paper Mill. That's the Aubrey's restaurant, and you can see some cars almost fully submerged. One car leaning up against the back of a tree there. Flooding at Tyson Park Greenway, sent in by Stephen Taylor. I can't jog or ride a bike or walk on that greenway, but after the storms moved through, we saw some beautiful sunsets. And here's a rainbow sent in by Nicholas Stern, rainbow after the storm. And we do have a flood warning still in effect until 1 a.m. tomorrow. That does include Knox and surrounding areas with still some lingering high water. It's 49 and chilly right now, so bundle up in the morning. Back with your full forecast coming up, guys.
Quite a day, Todd. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Floodwaters had a devastating impact on Second Harvest Food Bank's warehouse. Water seeped into that facility this afternoon.
And a lot of the food that nonprofit agency distributes to the needy will have to be thrown out. 10 News reporter Stoney Sharp got a first-hand look at that damage. He's in our information center. Stoney, what a difficult day for them.
It was, Robin and John. Second Harvest houses $90,000 worth of food each month. They say at least half of this month's inventory was damaged by the flood.
So we all began to panic and moved everything we could.
Pictures shot by a Second Harvest employee show what they saw. Water from a nearby creek was rising quick.
It was a big danger for our staff.
Mud now highlights the end result.
We had 6 employees who were out in our trucks. Their cars were totally underwater. Half of our trucks are underwater.
Also underwater, the main floor of the warehouse. It houses 5 offices, a freezer, and all of the food the nonprofit organization gives away.
So I have a feeling most of this, anything that got close to the contaminated water, is going to have to be tossed.
Electricity has been shut off to the warehouse. Water continues to drain out. Management plans to reevaluate the damage Tuesday.
We know we're going to have to close for the week, and so our agencies won't be able to come here. Maybe some of our trucks will get out in our 18-county service area. But again, we've got a lot of work to do.
Executive Director Elaine Strino says Second Harvest does have insurance. She hopes it pays for much of the cleanup.
We're going to need some monetary help. That's a given to get our trucks back up, all of that.
An emotional day for a group who usually helps others during tough times. You can donate to them online or by mail. We'll have that information on our website. Robin and John.
All right, Stoney, thanks for the update.
Well, some East Tennessee residents haven't just lost food. Their entire homes were flooded in today's rains. At least one neighborhood in Jefferson County was especially hit hard.
It's done it once before, back in 94, I think it was.
But it's not that bad.
Not this bad, though.
Now, this is Old Andrew Johnson Highway in Newmarket. Firefighters say 5 to 6 houses flooded here. No reports of serious injuries, but there were rescues, including several people. Rescuers were also able to take a few dogs to safety, scared and shivering, but alive nonetheless. The water even pushed one house off its foundation. The owner, Don Donham, worked on the house for 5 years, but it took just seconds for the flood to change it all.
Wasn't nothing much I could do. I was trying to save stuff, but I couldn't. It just come up so fast, I couldn't do it.
Donham still hopes he can salvage his belongings from inside. Meanwhile, officials had plans to call in the Red Cross for anyone who needed assistance.
Here in Knox County, the flooding caused some major headaches for schools and buses trying to take students home from classes. At Holston Middle School, students weren't dismissed until almost 6 o'clock tonight. 10 News reporter Sean Dreyer has more on how some families managed to get their kids home before the buses headed out.
With rushing water blocking Chilhowie Drive, some Holston Middle School parents headed for higher ground, searching for a way to pick their kids up from school. In the woods behind Bridges Funeral Home, some waited for word from below, while others took matters into their own hands. Sierra Brown left school with her parents after they navigated the slick, muddy hillside to pick her up.
Well, the water was coming in underneath the doors, and then on the side door there was like sort of part sewer and then part of rainwater. The gym teacher was trying to sweep it out with the broom.
Brown says the other option was trying to navigate through the water in front of the building.
You couldn't even walk in. It would probably be up to your knees.
The southbound entrance to Holston was open by 5:30.
Free at last!
and buses were rolling home by 5:45.
Students were safe, students were dry, and were well supervised, as our staff couldn't leave either. So we had plenty of adults in the building.
Kids were great. They did awesome.
But some parents were frustrated with how the situation was handled.
They could have called us or something and told us that they were going to try to bring the buses out.
Whether they waited for the water to recede or climbed to higher ground, today these students won't soon forget.
It started out normal and then ended up crazier than we thought.
Sean Dreyer, 10 News.
And they'll get a day off tomorrow. Once again, Holston Middle will close tomorrow so crews can assess the damage and clean that building. All other Knox County schools will be open and running on a normal schedule.
Crews in Knoxville and Knox County made several rescues from homes surrounded by water today. One of them took place on Pilkay Street near Sutherland Avenue. The house was built on the banks of Third Creek, which this evening looks more like Third River. Rising waters caused the home's heating and air conditioning unit to detach from the residence. Now that caused a gas leak. The KUB was able to shut the line off. The couple who lived there packed up some belongings and rescuers pulled them to safety.
They had two rescue swimmers that went in the water, and they tethered off to a rope. They actually just walked down to the house and put the residents in a life jacket and walked them out.
Now this is what Sutherland at Cox looked like just a few blocks away from that rescue. Third Creek overflowed its banks onto the greenway. A woman and two children were rescued from a car that was still sitting in the road this evening.
Rescue crews also had to help out a family in East Knox County after the rising water got too close to their house. It happened on Thorn Grove Pike this afternoon. The homeowners say the water rushed across the road and came up to their door. Some of the residents in that home were able to get out, but the water came in so fast, two people left in that home called 911.
You know, I didn't really think about it at first because it was like, you know, this has happened before. Whenever it rains, we see the water start to rise in the creek. But when we started coming across the road, we knew we were in trouble then.
And the water was about 3 feet deep inside that house. You can see from that picture the force of the water even bent the home's garage doors.
Road crews have been very busy across the viewing area, clearing debris that washed or fell onto highways and side streets. Some boulders blocked a section of Highway 25W in Clinton today. Crews were able to clear them, though, before anyone was hurt. Power outages have also been a concern. KUB is only reporting a couple of dozen out right now, but the wet ground could cause more trees and power lines to fall.
So today's flooding, some of the worst we've seen in decades, certainly. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we're asking for a little weather history from you. What are some other major weather events from the past? Head to our website or our Facebook page and share your stories. Also at WBIR.com, continuing coverage of today's flooding. We received pictures and videos from many of you, hundreds in fact. You can watch them and post your own at our site. Plus check out the stories and footage that our crews captured today. And of course, we will continue to bring you updates on the people and places affected by today's weather.
Other headlines from the day coming up next, including sad news for a Jefferson County family who has been searching for a missing relative since July.
And she was Knoxville's first lady for 8 years, but taking on that role statewide is quite a challenge. Hear how Chrissy Haslam is adjusting just ahead.
And Trevor Bain took a break from his racing media blitz to thank hometown fans today in a Knoxville homecoming. He's coming up next. Investigators in Jefferson County now say remains found last week are those of a hunter missing since July. Steve Buchanan's family says he left to go raccoon hunting with some friends and he never returned. The remains were found outside a home near New Market. Today, the Jefferson County Sheriff said investigators were able to identify them through medical records and x-rays. The investigation into how Buchanan died is continuing.
A plan designed to protect Knox County's ridge tops that is 3 years in the making will have to wait another 60 days if it ever passes. Commissioners voted 10-1 tonight to delay the plan because they want to learn more about it and get more public input. The proposed rules would limit development on slopes greater than 15% in the county. Developers tend not to like it, while supporters claim it's needed to control erosion and preserve our area's beauty. One commissioner says the extra 2 months could be beneficial now that residents have heard a wake-up call.
Now that we've got everybody awake, maybe they will come to these workshops so they can get these details. That's my point right there, is getting the details out to everybody.
Commissioners hope to have at least one work session with City Council regarding that plan.
It's been nearly 6 weeks since former Knoxville Mayor Bill Haslam was inaugurated as governor of Tennessee.
The last month has been full of transitions for the first family, including First Lady Chrissy Haslam. 10 News reporter Hillary Lake got a chance to spend a day in Nashville to find out how the First Lady is adjusting to her new role.
Hey, come in. How are you? How are you? Good.
Meeting and greeting people comes second nature to Chrissy Haslam, even in different surroundings.
The job going from campaigning to actually governing is so different, but it feels great to be here.
Here is the Tennessee residence, a 1930s mansion set on 10 guarded acres. She shares it with her husband, Governor Bill Haslam.
The downstairs of the residence is furnished by the state and is for public events. The upstairs of the residence is our private living quarters.
Mrs. Haslam says they spend a lot of time downstairs in the sunroom. The governor also has a study on the ground floor where he works when he's home. But it's this room that symbolizes family and leadership for the First Lady.
We can seat 22 people around that dining room table, and I think that's a great way to entertain and to help build relationships that will help the state of Tennessee.
Mrs. Haslam doesn't spend all of her time here at the residence. She also has an office downtown just across the street from the governor's office.
The First Lady works in the Tennessee Tower, one of the tallest buildings in Nashville. Her office sits high above the city with a view of the Capitol building. It's a space she didn't have as a mayor's wife in Knoxville.
It's different having my own office. I get up every day and go there, and actually I've been surprised at how quickly the day goes by.
These days, Mrs. Haslam also has her own staff and what she says is a new level of political responsibility.
The First Lady of a state has a platform, and I think that if you have that, you ought to use it.
It's a platform that means supporting the governor and developing her own state agenda.
I think part of my time will be entertaining and helping Bill with some of his initiatives and things he wants to do, and working on my own initiatives.
I want this to be kind of a brainstorming session.
She's been meeting with community representatives to narrow down which initiatives she will back.
I want it to be broad enough but measurable, and I want it to be something pertaining to children's issues and educational issues. They obviously go hand in hand.
While the First Lady is settling into life in executive office and living in the executive residence, there's one place that's never far from her mind.
We sure do miss Knoxville, and hope to get back there often, but we are doing well and enjoying our new lives here, and just invite anyone to come and see us.
In Nashville, Hillary Lake, 10 News.
And you can take her up on that offer. You can see the executive residence for yourself. It's open to the public tours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can head to our website, WBIR.com, for reservation information.
Good to get that update on them. And we'll be right back. Stay with us.
And Chief Meteorologist Todd Howell back with us. Robin and I were talking just how quickly that rain came down. And Todd, you were saying the computer models really tell the story.
Yeah, tropical moisture indicating rainfall rates 4 to 5 inches per hour at one point. Now, it didn't do that for the whole hour, but that was the type of deluge, the downpours that we saw. Here's a look at the regional view. Hope you're having a good, safe night, folks. Good news, we're drying out, number one. High pressure building in. It's going to be a beautiful day coming up for your Tuesday, first day of March, after a significant flooding day. Does it seem like it was 2 days worth of day? It seems like almost 2 separate days. Did that really happen earlier today? Yes, significant flooding, anywhere from about 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, centered around 3 inches through Knoxville in a short period of time, really less than 3 hours' time, about 2.5 hours. And it came quick. The ground was saturated from yesterday's rainfall. That was the key. So the ground was mush, very wet. Everything today led to runoff, and that's why we had the flooding. Those storms making a beeline toward the eastern seaboard and the Grand Strand from Myrtle Beach over toward Wilmington, and we're going to clear out. Boy, it's gotten a lot colder. We've got to bundle up in the morning with the jackets and coats for your Tuesday. More on that coming up. Flood advisories in morning still continue for Knox and surrounding counties, just for residual high water. Yeah, even after the heavy rains have stopped, it's going to take a while for all the runoff to kind of slowly recede. You've seen the video and the updated pictures from Allison tonight in Broadway. Much better. So the receding is definitely taking place. Officially, this goes until 1 a.m., just so all other areas can see improvements. There will still be some river flood warnings for parts of southeast Kentucky, including up in Knox and Whitley, the Cumberland River up there. 71 was the high today, 57 was the low. At McGee-Tyson Airport, not as much rain, about 1.25 inches. Still a little bit of a deficit just there. But most other areas from Knoxville and northern section saw a lot of rain. 49 right now. The wind chill 46 as winds are out of the north at 7 miles per hour. So here's a check of those temperatures. That's really the story the rest of tonight. It's drier, but it's turning colder. 38 in London, 39 already in Crossville, 10 degrees cooler than Knoxville. It's 40 in Nashville, 42 in Memphis. Chilly high pressure continues to push this strong cold front off to the east. Good news, we get a break basically for the rest of the week. We'll need it because there's another system that may try to be coming our way for the weekend. Folks, I still see a weather pattern over the next couple weeks that may be conducive to some of these types of storms that come in every 3, 4, 5 days. That's just something we're going to kind of have to keep an eye on as we go in time. But we dry out a little bit cooler day tomorrow, but a beautiful day. Some early morning clouds and sunshine and drier, and then we'll see that warming trend returning as we go the rest of the week. So for tonight, some patchy fog. It will be colder, 38 for the low, and then we're going to see those temperatures in the upper 50s. So a nice day tomorrow. We dry out Wednesday, Thursday, most of Friday, maybe shower late in the 60s. Some scattered showers and storms possible again for the weekend, John and Robin.
All right, Todd, thank you.
Okay. Steve joins us for some hoops.
Lots of hoops. Getting close to crunch time in high school basketball. Regional playoffs began this evening in various places, including Fulton. Region 2 AA playing there, and it was Loudon Savannah Berry getting it down low to Jasmine White for the bucket for the Redskins, and they had the early lead. Pigeon Forge answers as Ashlyn Trotter feeds Mindy Brackens in the low post, and she's going to get that to fall. Watch Loudon's Zoe Grimes with a shot thrown up with a hand in her face. She connects. Tigers would get a 3 at the horn, though, to win at 55-52. Earlier, CAK facing Fulton. The Warriors jump out to a 15-point lead in the second with Kayla Cutshaw's bank off the glass. Falcons chipping away at the lead. Morgan Rogers takes it the length of the court, hits the shot, and draws the foul. And a little later, Bree Hall finds Rogers in the corner, fires up a 3, gets the lucky bounce. Fulton rallies to win at 61-56. They play Pigeon Forge for the title. Glory Johnson used to be one of the best prep players in town. Now she's one of the best in the country in college ball. For the 4th time this season, the SEC has recognized the former Web star as the Women's Player of the Week. Glory averaged 14 points and more than 11 rebounds and 3 wins last week for the Lady Vol. Tennessee Vols back at work preparing for South Carolina on Thursday. Coach Bruce Pearl says the recent skid shook his team a bit.
We've got some guys that aren't playing a lot of basketball right now that are better offensively. Perhaps not better defensively, and I felt like this team's best chance to win was to have that identity. So when you go through stretches and you've lost 5 out of 7, your mental toughness definitely gets challenged, and your confidence does as well.
Well, Knoxville's Trevor Bain has no problem with confidence. Finally got to come home 8 days after his stunning win in the Daytona 500. There was a long list of dignitaries on hand to honor Trevor. He got a Bristol skateboard and a street named Trevor Bain Lane. The Wood brothers even turned out with his Daytona 500 trophy. One gift that made Trevor's eyes sparkle was a number 21 Vols jersey given him by Tennessee legend Condridge Holloway.
Trevor?
I don't know, man. That's pretty neat. That's a really special thing to get that jersey. You know, everything that's come with this 500 win is more than I could expect, especially that kind of stuff. You know, just seeing him and getting to meet him is one thing, but to get a jersey from him is another.
Of course, that's his car number. It was also Heath Schuler's jersey. I don't think Heath minds Trevor wearing that.
Not at all. And it's funny to hear him starstruck when you know that's going to happen to him time and again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his schedule does not calm down at all, does it?
No, he was right back on the track this weekend.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Thanks for watching. Good night.